Nowhere does the power of human energy have as much impact as in the world of work. Working relationships are the vehicle for unique individuals to co-create something far greater than the mere sum of their parts. It's the quality of our relationships across our differences that directly affects an organization's creativity, performance, and ultimate survival. All the ways we are different continuously challenge our relationships. They create turning points at each phase of a continuous maturing process. How we relate and respond to differences determines how successfully we will achieve our workplace goals. To succeed, we can learn and practice skills to bridge our differences and build relationships that unlock the unique human power of co-creation. We begin the phases of relationship development by first uncovering both differences and similarities. In the process, we increase our awareness and discover more about who we are.
All of the experiences that we've had and all of the training that life has given us in our own unique ways, we bring with us. We may not be thinking of it that way, but it shows up in how we relate.
I seek to know myself. How will I react in this situation? Returning from a situation and saying, why did I react that way? And those are the looks that I think we have to have. It is very important that I understand myself before I come to a situation. But once in that situation, I must seek to understand you first.
The whole idea of you and I having an extremely constructive, productive relationship because we're different is not intuitive. And one of the fundamental building blocks that just must exist if we're going to have that is trust. And trust, my experience, takes time.
I can't make assumptions about other people. I need to simply tell them about myself and then listen to them. I need to remember that that process doesn't happen overnight. That it's not a matter of coming in and saying, okay, here's who I am, I'm like this, I'm like that, these are the things I like, and I'm done. And the other person tells me those things, and that's all there is to it. It's much more a process. It's a building block process.
I think if we stand still and just become aware of the fact that there are going to be some core cultural contrasts. Most human beings have got the same intentions, but the way they express those intentions is going to be very, very different. What is behind those expressions? What is this person really meaning?
Right. Just like that. There you go. Okay, let's go through it one more time and I think you're home. Good. So anyway, we left the club last night around 10 and went for this long walk on the beach. Well, you know how cold it was on Friday, so of course we kept sort of leaning into each other's body heat. No, wait, you had it right before. Oh, he is so good looking and funny and, well, at the break I'll tell you everything. Darn. Whoa, back up. So anyway, tomorrow night I'm making dinner for us at his house.
Why does she do that? Where I come from, we don't talk about such personal things, not to mere acquaintances. Why would I want people at work to know such things?
Her? Isn't she a funny one? So shy. Oh, she's just a little backward, that's all.
Makes me uncomfortable. I can't think straight. I wish she'd just let me do my work, that's all.
The trick with someone like that is to stay open. Eventually, she'll open up too. If she lasts. Sometimes she makes an awful lot of mistakes.
I have got to be fully in touch with how I feel when I'm confronted with differences. And I use this phrase that there's this voice, and you have to turn up the volume on that voice. And if we all just slow down, it's a very rapid process that goes on. There are automatic responses to differences. It's extremely rapid. But if we slowed it down and just turned up the volume on that voice, we would hear how we really feel when confronted with differences.
One of the things that I did when I first went to this job was I did an individual interview with every employee. And we sat down and talked about all kinds of things, career goals and dreams. I think I asked you what was your best hope for the future
Yes.
in the job and your worst fear.
Yes.
And that was a beginning of getting to know.
It was a foundation, a philosophical basis for commonality, something to build on.
It is not merely diversity because of the color of our skin or our gender differences. It is diversity of thought. It is diversity because of our cultural differences and our individual differences. You've had experiences that I've never had. And your very experience may be the thing that will help me understand an issue that I have. Yet if I come at you in a way that says, I don't value who you are or what you add to our organization, then I will never experience what you have experienced. And as a result of that, will never solve my issue.
Gino, wait till you see what I have here. Check it out, check it out. Check it out right here. So, I knew I was going to be right about the data. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I say it? Like here, right here. And here, look here. So I want us all to meet at 4 and I'll outline the new plans to everyone all at once. Didn't I tell you? I know. Peter!
Gino!
Hey, man. I knew I was going to be right. I knew it was just a simple matter of getting the right data, my point to be made. Like here, look at here, and look at this one down here.
Slow down.
Wait, am I right or am I right? Listen, so we'll all get together at 4, and I'll outline a new plan to everyone at once, okay?
Okay. Gino, high energy, but I like that. But have you ever noticed how it's always I? Now that's a little hard to take.
Sometimes Gino's so loud, I can't even hear him.
We all have our own sensitivities. We all have things that we are sensitive about. And none of us is probably going to be able to understand the specifics of each one. But what we can do is honor the fact that those differences exist, and we should be sensitive in a more general sense to everybody's individual sensitivities. So there's a first awakening, if you would, of I have to be sensitive to you and you and you because we're all different.
Gino.
Wait till you see what I have here. Look this over. Check it out. I told you I was going to be right about the data, didn't I? I look here and here. See? Huh? Okay? So listen, we're going to all meet at 4 o'clock and I'll outline the new plans to everyone at once. All right? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure, Gino.
Great.
All right.
Well, we do have different styles, but one of the things that I think makes this work is that we communicate, and we are both willing to be very forthright.
Yes.
So if Tekla doesn't understand, she will say to me, I don't understand, stop, go back. Or if she says, I think we're spending too long on the concept meeting, or too short on
Yes.
this, or I need more help, she says so.
Candor and feedback. Employees like feedback, and if you're consistent and you're honest in your feedback with them, they will trust you and they will work harder and they will improve and they'll give you wonderful productivity as a result.
In the conflict phase of the relationship process, we must build relationship to bridge our conflicts and learn to understand each other's differences.
Anytime we're confronted with differences and we're not comfortable with them, we can avoid the difference or we can move towards it. The idea of moving towards the resolution of differences is very uncomfortable because for most of us, I think what we imagine is that moving towards this thing will create further escalation. And why would I want to do that? So maybe it's just best if I back off, if I just leave it alone for a little while. The difficulty with that is that it rarely, if ever, improves as we move away from that sort of discontent. And it degenerates into perhaps discussions about others with other individuals. It degenerates into a lot of self-talk, where the only answers you have are your own, which sometimes are not the best answers because you get no feedback or response to them. And the ideal is to gather, to summon up enough courage, and it takes courage, to move forward and to express how you're feeling in a conflict-ridden situation.
You got a minute? Margot, you said last week that I was on target with my figures. Eli just told me you complained about my work to him. I need some clarity on this.
We did your evaluation last week.
Yes, but is what you told me the truth or what you told him the truth? Look, I'm walking around thinking that what you told me is something I can work with here. Come to find out, you're telling different things to different people around here. I mean, I know Eli for sure. God knows who else. You really undermine me when you do that.
When I was going out on a date during my single parenting years, I was relating to a woman the challenge I had in getting dates as a high school student. I was blind, therefore people didn't want to go out with me. I was Japanese, and there was people who didn't want to go out with me. The person said to me, Steve, there's a third reason why people may not want to go out with you, and that's because you're a jerk. You're not pleasant to be with. And so what that helped me visit was it wasn't always necessarily due to my blindness or due to my race. It was about how I was being in a relationship. They interweave with each other, but we don't always know or see those connections.
I can't believe you hired that guy.
Tim, there are patients who just love him.
Not me. He's too much like that Energizer bunny. He just keeps going and going and going.
I'll admit he crosses the line sometimes, but he has a way of touching people.
Tell me he never gets on your nerves?
Yes, he sometimes gets to me. But he's also been there for me on days when I didn't have a spot of energy left. One day you'll see that.
One day you'll see he's got batteries in his back.
When you're dealing with issues of diversity, more often than not, you're dealing one-on-one, one human being to another. So to expect that because someone is of a given group, that they're going to be like that generalized mass of people is probably one of the worst things we can do in terms of trying to set up interactions with that individual.
What a drag. I mean, really, does that woman have any idea what a drain she can be?
You've got to admit she's great on details.
Oh, yeah. She's so busy crossing T's and dotting I's there are no other letters in her alphabet. Very impressive.
Now, come on. She works harder than almost anyone.
And has the exhaustion to prove it. Ba-dum-bump. I'll stop. But just keep us way far away from each other, okay? Far, far away.
She's moving so rapidly that oftentimes I don't feel that I have had all the information that I need communicated to me. And I think it's important to say, Rita, where are you going? Slow down a moment. What's the problem here?
And she's right. This is something that I do. I mean, once I think it, as far as I'm concerned, it's done. It happened. And I'm astonished that, you know, I have not communicated this thought by telecommunication and that the project is not underway. But on the other hand, she makes me crazy on the other end because she doesn't close. She thinks about it forever and ever. And then I have to get in there and go, Tekla, this needs to be done. The event is happening tomorrow. Can we close?
Rather than trying to bring my lens, my scopes, my discussion on it, I must understand you first. If I understand you, then I can begin the process of building a trusting relationship with you.
And that understanding needs a kind of listening, which is very much more than traditional listening. It's listening and remembering people's stories, remembering what their issues are, what their conflicts are, what their experiences are, which are so different to your own.
Al, tell me about this.
Oh, the schedule. Oh, my goodness, the kids. Look, I'm sorry, Peggy. I've been juggling so many things I forgot. Don't worry, I'll fix it.
Thanks, Al.
It's extremely important to remember what you have heard, what the other person has told you, because they oftentimes remember very well what they've told you. And when you do not remember it, then they take it as, well, that person doesn't really care about me.
Some people need to have a visible sense, or a sense that you are indeed interested and are indeed trying to build a relationship that can foster progress. And I've always felt that listening to a person in a very broad sense, body language, listening for meaning, making sure you understand what that person is really looking for, is the key to that.
In the negotiation phase of the relationship process, we must seek neutral ground in which we can negotiate a new way of being together.
Many times, the turning point in conflict is taking ownership of what your responsibility in that conflict is, as opposed to blaming the other person for whatever has happened. And just being able to say, well, this is how I felt about it, and this is what it meant to me, and what do you think? And take it from there.
Well, perhaps I sounded a little emotional then.
I like your work. Of course, we all have room for improvement in some areas. I mean, surely that's true for everyone.
But the thing is, you told Eli, you didn't tell me. Don't you see how you damage my credibility when you do those things? Wait. I feel embarrassed, almost humiliated, when I hear feedback that supposedly came from you through other people. I would rather that you told me personally.
Oh, Elaine, the last thing I want to do is make you feel you're not valued. Just the opposite. In my culture, it's normal to send information through colleagues. Now that you tell me what you need, this is how I'll communicate with you.
Oh. Well, now that I know where you're coming from...
I tell you what, I'll try to do it your way, but if I slip, you'll let me know, of course?
Of course.
Through the openness with each other is when the differences, the unique differences that are way below the surface start to surface. And that takes a lot of risk. It takes a lot of risk to share things with co-workers that maybe you've only shared with family, and how you feel about issues or issues that you believe and don't believe in. And it takes a lot of trust and strength to be able to reach that level with others.
What's the purpose of communication? Well, the first purpose of communication is understanding. Most people will begin to think, well, it's persuasion or agreement or all sorts of other things, direction, that sort of thing. And none of those things happen unless there's basically an understanding. So we have to really strive toward understanding, and listening is probably the best skill toward gaining that.
Philip, really excellent presentation. Good job.
Well, you know what Hal says.
Oh, yeah, I know. He's so articulate.
For a black person. You've got it too, huh?
Oh, yeah, but I was never ready with a response like yours.
I've been around a lot longer. Had it ready and rehearsed. The truth is, he means well. Just takes a while to hone the correct tone.
Philip, look, I'm curious about something. Why are you always so cautious around me? I mean, when we're not the only two people in the room.
The day you walked in here, I felt sorry for you. Look, this place is rough on black folks. They don't think so, but I just couldn't believe that they hired a black woman, and a young one at that, to manage a project that's gone sour twice. And the truth is, I was just waiting to see how it would turn out.
So, if I fail, my failure might reflect badly on you.
Your failure could become my failure.
I guess people lump us together. I can understand that. Even in some ways, it makes no sense. I mean, I have a lot less in common with Philip than I do with my white boss. Philip and I have completely different backgrounds, different educations. He's married, he has kids, I'm single. But my boss, it's taking forever to try to build a bridge.
In order for us to effectively relate to each other individually, each one of us must feel an interdependence on the other person. And that interdependence is based upon, one, understanding what the organization's goals are. And that will, of course, be the responsibility of the organization. And then I must myself understand that this individual is important to me. I need to myself work through whatever differences that we may have culturally, racially, or any identifiable things that are different. And that could be even among people who are the same race. Before we can establish a relationship, we must first deal with those things that we have differences on in order for us to relate better together.
In the performance phase of the relationship process, we must transform our relationships, utilizing our differences and the power of our human energy.
I believe the fear of change comes because we become isolated and we become fearful. And in that fear becomes inaction, inability to move, the inability to deal with what we must deal with. And so as a result, you hide, I hide, where perhaps if we had that trusting relationship between each other and truly utilized it, we would run fear to the ground.
Sí, he hecho un resumen. Gracias. Gracias. Tenga bien día. Fine Apparel, Teresa speaking. Mrs. Baines, Esther isn't here right now, and I'm not sure if that's come in yet. Can I get back to you in a few minutes? Yeah, I understand. Esther, Mrs. Baines just called about the suit she ordered. I said I'd get back to her. I haven't seen it anywhere. Is it here yet?
I have it put away. I'll call her after break.
She's in an awful hurry. She said she's going out and would like to pick it up if it's here.
Esther, you need your break. Teresa, let her know it's here. She's better than you give her credit for, you know. So what do you say this afternoon you and I concentrate on that new merchandise? And if there's only one customer in the department, we let her handle it. With luck, one of the big spenders will come in and she'll make a good commission.
If there's only one. And that one is not one of our regulars, you mean?
No. If we can work it, I say throw her the big fish.
When pigs crow, why should she learn at our expense? I certainly didn't.
Are you sure? Success teaches faster than failure. Give her some.
So we can get more just like her. Oh, goody.
You kid yourself if you think the customers can't feel that hostility the minute they get off the elevator. Either she succeeds and we like it, or we all fail. It's been a long time since we could watch somebody do what we do in a completely different way. So it'll cost us a little in the beginning. It'll pay off in the end.
So many times, you know, when we're faced with a kind of change or we're dealing with something that's different, we may have a tendency at first to avoid it, to deny it, and so forth. We find out, no, that's not working, it's going to happen, and so then it's not unusual, I'm learning, for people to be a little anxious, to be a little angry, to be a little concerned about that. So that's natural, but then it's crucial that it moves to the next step where we begin to say, okay, this change is happening, I need to be a part of it, what are my alternatives? I mean, what's apt to be a way I can deal with this? So I can commit to that and then become a part of the solution.
Being able to give up the safe ground is being able to let go of what you felt was a safe mode of operation, and let go of that on behalf of opening up to everyone else in that team. It's in the opening up that the difference show up, and it's in the leveraging of the differences that we get the results we want.
Da 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 da. Ba 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 da da dee doo 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 doo. Hey ho, loo ho.
A bad omen.
Come on now, don't be superstitious.
Oh, please, God.
An omen maybe, darling, but hardly for you. Trust me, it's just God's way of saying, shut up, Tim. Liza, you ain't. Got it!
Dr. Walters is on duty tonight. He's very good. We're going to take you downstairs for some tests, and he's going to explain the whole procedure to you. And if there's anything you don't understand, just ask. He's very good about answering questions. And Tim and I will be there with you in case there's anything we can do to help.
Even though we get exasperated along the way, we've got a balance of strengths.
Right. And for me to, again, be able to trust her motives, I'm able to make certain leaps and certain allowances. And in the same way that I make some allowances, I believe she makes some allowances for me. And we have enough respect about the quality of one another's work that we kind of fill in the gaps for one another.
Mm-hmm. To me, no matter how you want to slice it, it's basically two things. It's communication between people, and it is respect for each other. Those two things are the key, and you can put all kinds of labels on it or dress it up whatever way you want, but just keeping it simple.
We all share spirituality. That's what it is to be a human being. And no matter what culture you come from, there's the common ground. And it's also the place where all of our gifts are. And when we look at diversity, sometimes we at first blush see difference, and that is threatening in a variety of ways to us. And if we can get through that bias that we might have, then we discover the gift.
It really becomes inconsequential whether the person is fat, tall, slim, short, a male or a female, because you are now beginning to look at the individual as a person.
We can find a natural way of being together if we take the time to practice the skills of relationship building at each phase. At the initiation phase, uncover differences and similarities. In the conflict phase, build relationship to bridge conflict through an understanding of our differences. In the negotiation phase, seek neutral ground to find a new way. And finally, in the performance phase, transform our relationships and utilize our differences to reach the full power of our human energy. These skills help create mutual respect for what each unique person brings to the workplace. They begin to build the trust necessary for co-creation and enable us to transform our human energy into even higher performance.